I'm Mike Peake, and today I'm joined by Larry Melton. Larry just wrote a new book about Jess Sweeten. What's the name of the book, Larry?
We titled it "A Trail Is Never Cold."
I read where Mr. Sweeten started out his law enforcement career in Trinidad.
At 19 to 22 years old. 22 years old is when he first became constable over there. They wanted him to do it because he got in a fight with one of the toughest fellas in town, and the old boy was knocked out pretty good, and they wanted him to be the constable, and that started his law career at that time.
He kind of backed into the law enforcement career.
He was leaving, going to Kansas City, and they promised to pay him if he would stay $4 for every arrest, and then a monthly salary, free room and board, and that pretty much sealed the deal.
Did the $4, was that a pretty important part of it?
Yes, because there was a lot of trouble in Trinidad during those days. That was the headquarters for all the road gangs, and they were building a $7 million power plant over there at that time, and he worked for Otis Elevator Company, and he was helping install the elevator. And he didn't make a whole lot of money, but that $4 arrest, you could count a bunch of arrests in one day's time, and he made 100 arrests the first, I believe it was the first night he was on duty. The first fight was with a fellow by the name of, well, I call him Scrap Iron Johnson. I don't know what his real name was, and Jess didn't either, but they picked him up out of the street, and Jess was headed out. And
well, Jess was a big guy and a young guy, so everybody wanted to take him on, I guess.
After he had the fight with Scrap Iron, he had 100 fights that night, bare knuckle, and made over 100 arrests. And Trinidad didn't have a jail there either, and the tradition was that you hauled them from Trinidad to the jail, or you called the sheriff to come pick them up, and that was 18 miles down a dirt road during those days.
I bet there's some interesting stories what happened on that 18-mile dirt road.
A bunch of them. The previous constables had a problem with, they would take one prisoner at a time to Athens, and by the time they got back, the ruckus has already started again, and he was out of town for 18 miles. You know, that's a good 45 minutes a trip, and they had the town to themselves. And Jess, how he solved the problem was he rented a cattle truck, and he hauled them over to Henderson County Jail with a cattle truck.
I guess he could handle more people that way.
Yes, he could make more money that way, too.
More money, yeah.
He was making more money than the county sheriff at that time.
Oh. Well, how come he decided to be county sheriff, do you think?
He was fired for being too popular. The sheriff at that time was a fellow by the name of Joel Baker, and Joel wrote a letter to him and said there's no way that a deputy should be more popular than the county sheriff. So he fired him, and a fellow by the name of M.G. Jepson at that time talked him into running for sheriff along with him, and he said that way we can probably split Baker's votes. And he said, if I win, you got your old job back. But Baker, Jepson, instead of campaigning for himself, he was out campaigning for Jess Sweeten, and Jess Sweeten won by 700 votes.
So after he became sheriff, then the stories even got better. I understand some of your book is a lot about the cases. Tell us about some of the interesting cases.
Well, it starts out there. It starts from the time he was first elected sheriff, and there was a bank robbery that took place, and then right after that, he solved that bank robbery case, and then right after that, shortly after that, there was what became a very famous murder case. It was one of the first mass murder cases in the history of Texas, and he solved that after 4 years of long, hard hours.
4 years. He had a lot of determination.
Yes, sir. He was dedicated.
And what was you were saying something about a chicken story about some chickens?
Well, there was a lot of chicken thieves in those days, and he had placed well, he told the newspaper reporter, said, look, I don't want to see another live chicken thief. I'm tired of these chicken thieves. He said, every case I'm on here lately is I'm called out to some farm about chickens. And well, when he left there, he left a paper office, he saw a fellow running down a railroad track with 6 chickens in his hands.
Well, this book, I understand, is soon to be out in September. How could somebody get a copy of the book?
You can send a letter to Jess Sweeten here in Athens, and she's taking the orders. And that's Jess's daughter, and she's handling that part of it.
Well, if you'd like a living legend, a book about a living legend from Henderson County, you might be interested in picking up the book on Jess Sweeten. The number, the address will be on the screen after the show. Thank you.